combination of high intensity intervals, and so intensity is relative, and strength training, that's lifting weights, is infinitely more effective than slow long distance cardio for fat loss. So I don't know how it's happened, but the holy grail of fat loss appears to be running, jogging, going on the stepper, going on the cross trainer, and all the other machines that we have, or the spinning bike. I don't know why. What genius of marketing made everyone believe that, but it just isn't true, okay? So here's some studies that prove it to you. Here's the first one. I'll talk you through it. A 15-minute high-intensity training session, okay, in one group of subjects. And the control group used a 30-minute aerobic training session. The 30-minute aerobic training session, this was done on a bicycle in a lab, okay, stayed below their, what we call anaerobic threshold for the whole 30 minutes. And what I mean by that is they stayed at an intensity level where they could still have had a conversation. So they were pedaling and they were breathing, but they could still have spoken to you, okay? The 15-minute high-intensity interval session performed sprints of 10 to 30 seconds on the bike, standing up as hard as they could, you know, with their eyes shut and their teeth clenched, followed by 30 to 60 seconds of complete rest for 15 minutes. Interestingly enough, the high-intensity interval session, which remember was half the length of the aerobic one, elevated fat burning, these are all to do with fat burning genes expression, by 75% over the aerobic group. Both of these sessions did the things that we're all told by our doctor that we have to get from exercise, like by boosting your immune system, improving your stress response. But the high-intensity interval triggered response in fat metabolism and growth hormone genes. So the genes and cells that we want to switch on that burn fat and that release growth hormone, which results in a lower body fat percentage, were only turned on in the high-intensity session and not by the aerobic training session. Here's another one. A 7-week training program. Okay, so it's a 7-week study. The subjects were training for a total of 7 weeks. Group number 1, this is quite amazing, did 3 to 5 sets of sprints. These were running on a track, okay, lasting 10, 20, or 30 seconds. The other group did 3 8K runs per week. They were both tested on a 1-mile time trial. Okay, so that's one group running for only a maximum of 30 seconds versus 3 runs of 8 kilometers a week, and they're both tested by running a 1-mile time trial. In this group of sprinters, maximal oxygen consumption, so that's how fit you are aerobically, increased by 5%. Their blood pressure, the one that the doctor monitors, decreased by 5 points. And their bad cholesterol that we're told to watch out for also decreased. In the endurance group, there was no change in any of those markers, no change in fitness, no change in blood pressure, and no change in harmful cholesterol. The sprinting group improved the 1-mile time trial by 6%. The endurance training group had no change. Okay? So even if you want to run 1 mile, you'll do it faster if you train in high-intensity bursts with rest than if you simply ran for distance. The group that performed the sprints also improved the amount of protein they were able to absorb and therefore the amount of muscle they were able to build. And if you remember that muscle is active tissue, it's hungry and it burns calories all the time, we realize that we want more muscle mass and less body fat if we want to be lean. Okay, one more. I know this is kind of heavy. Last one. 30-second sprints, 4 to 6 times with a 4-minute rest. So that's run for 30 seconds, rest for 4 minutes, do it 4 more times. That's in one group, versus half an hour up to an hour at 65% of your max. So again, that's the cardio, the magic cardio zone that's written on the side of all the machines downstairs where you're training for cardio, where you can still have a conversation, low intensity. 6-week study. People that ran the sprints lost 12.4% body fat and averaged 2 to 3 kilograms of fat mass in 6 weeks. So it's an excellent result. They spent a total of 3/4 of an hour actually sprinting in 6 weeks versus 13.5 hours of running. That's 5.5% of the training time. So if you've got a busy life and children and a husband and you need to get up and cook your breakfast, you're better off doing short intervals with a 4-minute rest because you can spend the other 12.5 hours living your life and enjoying your new lean physique. The runners did lose 0.5 kilo of fat, probably due to the extra energy expenditure. But if you compare that with 2 to 3 kilograms of fat mass, you can see which method of exercise is more effective. Both of them improved the 2-kilometer time trial by an average of 5%. So once again, you don't, and this is not elite distance athletes, this is recreationally fit people. If you want to improve your distance or run the race for life, you don't have to do it by clocking up the miles. You can do it by running hard sprints. You don't need to go out on a track and be Linford Christie, although it is the best way. You can use the bike or the rowing machine. So you can just row hard for 30 seconds and then rest for 30 seconds. And remember, hard is what's hard to you, not what's hard to an elite athlete. If you're deconditioned and returning to exercise after a layoff, you can use longer intervals. So 1 to 2 minutes of walking on the treadmill at an incline, followed by 2 minutes of rest. Okay, it's a perfect exercise modality if you're deconditioned. Keep your sessions short and intense, 20 minutes or less if you're doing cardio. Lift weights. Yes, even the girls, but not the pink plastic ones. You have to lift weights. Okay, everyone in this room is stronger than using those little 1 kilo weights. You'd be best spent having a personal trainer or a gym instructor take you through a weight training program and then sticking to it for 6 weeks. Eat breakfast. Prioritize protein, veggies and salads, drink a lot of water, and do your best to get 8 hours of sleep a night, as the amount of sleep is highly correlated to lean body fat, and obese individuals tend to have poor quality and less sleep. Yep?
Just being a swim teacher and swimming coach, notice on the top there, you say use the bike or rowing machine. There's no mention of swimming.
No, there's not. You can certainly use sprints in the pool, intervals, like you would train how you would train a sprinter. The trouble with swimming is that it takes a phenomenal volume to lose body fat because it's not very stressful.
The reason I ask the question is I have that conversation with people whose doctors have told them swimming is good for you because it's body weight supported. Yeah. But they're telling them that it will actually help them to lose weight.
No, it won't.
They're not doing it fast enough or
no.
early enough.
No, it won't. It's very easy to stay below your threshold of breathing very heavy and having to stop in the pool. One of the reasons why that is because you'd die if anything went wrong. So it's very good to stay at that low pace. There's lots of fat people in swimming pools, local authorities up and down the country, which should guide you to the realization that you need to train at a more intense level. The trouble with swimming, it is good for flexibility and everything else, and a fantastic post-injury, and it complements a workout program, is that it's simply not intense enough because you're not having to support your own body weight. You're supported the whole time. So you're not fighting gravity in that.
One of the other advantages, again, whether if you guys use the gym here or elsewhere, the bike or the rowing machine as well, is that you'll be able to get the feedback as to the increasing intensity as well. So if any of you row, if you ask the guys, I'll show you a figure of your pace per 500 metres, which is really how intense you're working. And you can see how that comes down. Likewise on a bike, either through wattage or again the distance you're covering in that time or the level you're on, you'll be able to actually see progress and see that you are working harder rather than again convince yourself you are.
Yeah, if you have to use the cross trainer because you've got bad knees, use the cross trainer. If you can, run or use the rowing machine. Rowing machine is not, remember, you want inefficiency for fat loss. Rowing machine is really inefficient. You could walk 500 meters almost faster than you could row it. So the rower therefore places a much higher demand in terms of calories. And it's also quite safe as well because it's that one plane of movement. I prefer walking uphill on the treadmill than jogging. So walking at an incline or just simply walking outside is probably more beneficial than jogging. Remember with swimming as well, swimming and jogging are things that we use for recovery sessions for our athletes. They're things that we use when they're tired and need to regenerate, so they don't have a very big impact. I know we're dragging on, and if you guys want to go back to work, you can. I think I've got a couple more slides. If everyone's still awake, I'll do them. I'll answer some questions that I got. Is low fat our best option? Never. So it's a simple one. Okay. Never. Hidden sugars in our foods, yeah, there are many. Those are some of the worst offenders. But it's got oranges on the side. And it's got that little one of my 5 a day icon. Well, it may do. But the trouble with drinking fruit juice is that there's no fibre. Imagine if I asked you to eat 10 oranges, you'd never get through them because the fibre would slow you down. But you could easily drink 10 oranges worth of sugar in one go. Muller Lite, remember, anytime you take the fat out of something, it'll taste revolting. So you have to add lots of sugar in it to make it palatable. Okay? So these will be very, very high in sugar. Barbecue sauce, tasty though it is, you can have a little pot to dip your chips in if you're going to eat them, but you know, slavering it on the barbecue, really, really high in sugar. Skim milk's just a kind of pet peeve. I just hate the way that Starbucks call their things skinny, as if that's supposed to mean that it's better for you. Anytime you take the fat out of a product, you have to add the sugar. Go and look at the blue top versus the red top, and look at the label and see how much sugar per gram, and it's about double in the skim milk. So just drink full fat milk, it tastes so much better. Snacking, is it okay to snack, and what should I snack on? Yes, nuts, fruit, cold cuts, by that I mean, you know, cold turkey, cold ham. Sorry?
So, going back to the Tropicana,
Yes.
you say not to have fruit juice at all?
Never. Unbelievably expensive, incredibly bad for you, bad for your teeth. Just buy some oranges and have two.
Or regularly?
Yeah, what you could make your own, yeah, but there's just don't, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Or
just
drink water instead?
drink water, yeah, or green tea, and eat an orange. Green tea, a satsuma, and a handful of nuts. Much better than a glass of Tropicana, and cheaper too. Toast and peanut butter, if you have to, 3 times a week. Limit yourself, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can have your toast and peanut butter. Greek yogurt. It's nice to put, you know, you can put some strawberries and nuts in the yogurt, or some seeds, pumpkin seeds. How do I make sure I don't reach for the biscuit tin? Make sure you get a minimum of 8 hours sleep a night. Go to bed earlier. Don't watch TV last thing before you go to bed. Okay? Switch it off 20 minutes before you want to sleep and read for the last 20 minutes, or listen to an audio book. If you watch TV right up until you go to bed, you'll find that your sleep is poor and disrupted because it's too much stimulation. So get more sleep, prioritize protein at breakfast, drink a minimum of 3 litres of water a day. Willpower is part of it, and keep a food diary for a week and identify when you've reached for that biscuit tin, and then find out what you think made you do that. What should I eat before exercise when I finish? How soon before or after? High protein, high fiber veggies, fruits and salads, low glycemic index starchy carbohydrates, so potatoes, that sort of thing, yams, squashes. The only time you can have those simple sugars is after you work out. If you like the Tropicana, keep it for post-workout and dilute it half and half with water, and that's the time when you can have it.
And what about sweet potatoes?
Yeah, very good. Sweet potatoes, lower GI than a normal potato and higher in vitamins too. Quicker to cook, and I think they taste lovely, so I think the sweet potato is one of my champion foods.
So if people, so rather than jack potato, sweet potato instead,
Much better.
and better than new potatoes as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
much better. I've got that question. Without looking at the calories of everything, how do I choose the best option? Remember that? Mother Nature doesn't make mistakes, so buy natural food. Here's 2 golden rules. You can take this. I think this is the one you can take away with you. 99 things out of every 100 things you buy should have only 1 ingredient. The 1 out of 100 can be your toothpaste. Okay. Everything else in the shopping trolley should have only 1 ingredient. And then that's it, problem solved. If you couldn't have eaten it 2,000 years ago, don't eat it now. You couldn't have got a Twix then in ancient Rome. Nor could you have got spaghetti carbonara. So don't eat it now. And there's an example shopping trolley.
Are we going to get a copy of these slides?
You may.
Yeah.
You may have a copy. There you go, I put at the end some red wine and the dark chocolate. I'll cover that in a second. I know that the media change their mind every couple of weeks about you should have a glass of red wine. No, you shouldn't have a glass. It'll give you cancer. Yeah, you should. It'll prevent heart disease. No, you shouldn't. The general balance of opinion is the antioxidants are high enough and concentrated enough. So a glass of red wine 3 or 4 times a week, perfectly good for you. 80% cocoa or above, dark chocolate, again, very low GI, okay? High in antioxidants. The fact that it's lower in sugar and higher in fat means you get satisfied quite quickly on it, don't eat that much. And it also contains important ions, particularly for females. That's probably the reason that you crave chocolate. You do have an excuse for that. So that's a good, treat food. If you have a coffee every day and you can't survive without one, then you're addicted and you should stop. If you can take it or leave it, I'm quite lucky I can take it or leave it, then it's quite good pre-exercise because it does increase fat burning. That is not a license to have a coffee every single time you go to the gym.